Today, we're going to talk about freedom. Why? Because it's the 4th of July, and what better thing to talk about? But before we dive in, I always say this, and I know it's just the before we get into this, you gotta talk about this. You gotta ask me to do this. It's a request. I just need you to follow, download, review. Over the last 2 months, the numbers for this podcast has gone up. There are people listening worldwide. That may be you. We have people in several countries that are listening. And I need you to keep on. I need you to introduce this to someone else. Share this with someone else. Let them know that, hey, maybe this is somebody that can speak to some of the areas that you're going through in your life. So invite somebody else to listen to this. How can we do that? Well, first you can talk to people around you. If you don't talk to anybody, then that's the first step, is go talk to somebody new and say, you know what, check this podcast out. It's pretty cool. So how else can you do that? Follow, download, review. The three things that I continue to invite you all to do, and I would ask that you would do it. It really will help to get the word out about this podcast. And this is just a pastor. Yeah, I'm a pastor that just wants to let somebody know there is hope out there. But I'm not trying to make you feel bad because you don't believe the way I do. I'm inviting you to see it through a fresh lens, a fresh perspective. That's what I want to do, because I believe when you get on your own journey, that's where you'll find truth, not through what I'm trying to talk you into or debate or argue with you. I just want to have a conversation to give you some of the things that I've learned in my life, not the things I've been taught, but the things I've learned, walk through, and share those things with you. So by following and downloading and reviewing, you are introducing somebody else. Somebody says, wait a minute, I just read their review and they found something in there. I'll give them 20 minutes of my life. I may never listen to him again, but the title is catchy. He sounds like a cool dude. If you saw my picture on my pocket, he has a sweet beard. Maybe I'll check him out. And you never know what your just a couple of seconds, 2 clicks, follow, download, and a couple of words in your review can do to introduce somebody to this podcast. So I would encourage you, invite you, and just ask, please share. So let's get into this today. Today, here in America, is the 4th of July, Independence Day, and it's a big day for us, right? If you look back over this is going to sound really funny. And when I think about this, oftentimes for especially European, Asian, African countries that have been around for a long time, we are very much, we're still babies in this life, right, as a country. 1776, which is, I got to do some quick math in my head, 248 years that we've been a country. It's not that long. Like when you think about history, you go take a world history class here in America, you're like, oh my goodness, all the things that have occurred in the BCs and the ADs, and you get to the birth of America, 1776, you're like, yeah, that's not that cool. It's not that big a deal. Most of you, if you're outside America, are probably saying, why do y'all celebrate this in such a big fashion? It's not that big a deal. We've been doing this for a long time. It is a big deal for us because it was an opportunity for a group of people to come to a place and declare a freedom to have rights, to take care of themselves, to govern themselves, to not have to bow at the knee of somebody far away that was just demanding money and all the things. And it's in its own right. It's a conversation to be had. It's not a declaration of it right, wrong, indifferent. But we, as a country, in 1776, declared our independence by winning the Revolutionary War and saying, okay, we are a country that has to govern ourselves. And from that, we begin to build paperwork that demonstrates not only that we are free, but rights to freedom, which is still, through the years, has been conversations, has been arguments and debates about who's free and who's not. So every year at this time, we still have struggles amongst us about how free is somebody compared to somebody else. Was I ever free, or was this really written for me? And I have a unique expression perspective on this. I served in our country for 21 years in the Navy, so I have a background of serving for this country, of fighting for this country. I never handled a gun per se, like on the battlefield, but being in on aircraft carriers and doing the work and taking those ships over and doing the work required to get them to certain places to defend people. You know, after 9/11, being on a ship that went over there to push back on what was done to us as a country, to take out some of those leaders who had wounded and hurt and killed so many in our country. Um, there's a sense of in me of patriotism for this country, honor for what this country represents, and I am white. So there's some that have not experienced or felt that through their life. I'm a Caucasian. I've been born here in my whole life. So all I know is USA, the flags waving on 4th of July, the fireworks, me serving 21 years. So there's a patriotism for this country. But one of the things I've learned as a pastor is how even patriotism can become a broken idol. And when we worship something, okay, I'm going to use that word, and this may hurt somebody's feelings. When we worship something that's an idea of something, then it's not.